The movie starts with Yamaguchi Kumiko, known as Yankami, stopping a group of criminals from hijacking a plane. Yankami was returning from a school trip when the criminals made their move. She used her quick thinking and martial arts skills to disarm them and keep everyone safe. When the plane lands, the police are shocked to see the criminals apologizing as they step out. Even more surprising, Yankami introduces herself as a math teacher at Akato High School. After this event, Yankami's bravery makes her well known around town, with people praising her courage and local news covering her heroic actions. When she returns home, the Ito family, a respected Yakuza clan, welcomes her warmly and even offers her the position of clan leader. However, she politely declines. Yankami was raised by her grandfather, Ruchiro Kuroda, the third-generation leader of the Ito family, after her parents passed away when she was young. In the present day, Yankami continues her job as a math teacher, a position she's held for 7 years, despite having to deal with difficult students. Her co-workers gather around her in the teacher's lounge, impressed by her heroics on the plane. Vice Principal Satori Goro soon arrives and reminds Yankami to stay out of the spotlight, warning her to avoid any more attention that could reveal her Yakuza background. During this time, a new student teacher named Odagiri Ryu arrives, surprising everyone, including Yankami. She immediately recognizes him as one of her former students from Kirijin High School. Yankami is happy to see him following a similar path, but Ryu admits he's still in training and isn't fully sure about becoming a teacher yet. Later, Yankami introduces Ryu to Class 3D, a group of students she's responsible for, known for being the most troublesome in the school. The students are notorious for skipping classes, disrespecting teachers, and getting into fights, making them a constant challenge for the staff. As they approach the classroom, Ryu is surprised when he sees Yankami psyching herself up before going in. Once they enter, the class is chaotic, with students ignoring Yankami until she raises her voice to get their attention. One student, clearly upset, throws a tennis ball at her, but Yankami skillfully dodges it and throws it back, catching their attention. She then introduces Ryu as her assistant, but the students aren't interested in listening, which frustrates Yankami. She kicks a can out of frustration when they refuse to cooperate. Meanwhile, 5 boys, who were once taught by Yankami, are watching her and Ryu from the rooftop. They don't understand why Ryu, who used to be a troublemaker, will want to become a student teacher at Akato High School. Later, they see Yankami and Ryu together again and start to suspect there might be something going on between them. They quickly run to tell their friends at a food stall. To their surprise, Yankami and Ryu show up at the same place. The boys tease Yankami about finally being close to a man, which annoys her. She looks ready to challenge them, but Ryu steps in and calms her down. The group then sits together, eating and talking about their lives, laughing about how Yankami's former students once bet that she couldn't become a teacher at another school. Around the same time, some students from Class 3D are being threatened by a gang called the Black Skull Motorcycle Gang. Reita Takasuji, one of the students, steps up to defend his classmates and manages to drive the gang members away. Later that evening, Yankami invites Ryu to her home to drink with her and members of the Ito family. She says she wants to share a drink with her students. After a few glasses of alcohol, Yankami falls asleep, leaving Ryu and Asakura Tetsu, a member of the Ito family, to talk. Ryu admits that Yankami can be annoying sometimes, but he also shares how much he's learned from her. He explains that her lessons have inspired him to want to become a teacher like her. The next day, Yankami unexpectedly runs into 2 of her former students, Takeda Keita and Hyuga Kosuke, while attending a campaign speech by Kirase Kintaro, a well-known figure in the IT world running for election. Yankami is impressed by Kintaro's personality, seeing similarities between him and her former lover. Excited, she rushes onto the stage to show her support for him, but her enthusiasm is a bit too much, and Keita and Kosuke have to pull her away from the crowd. Meanwhile, at Akato High School, the Black Skull Motorcycle Gang shows up, looking for the students who beat up one of their members the day before. Their presence draws the attention of many curious students who leave their classrooms to see what's happening. Vice Principal Goro, feeling anxious, quickly calls the police for help. Fortunately, before things escalate, the gang members decide to leave the school. Later, Goro calls Takasuji and his friends to his office, scolding them for getting involved with the motorcycle gang. One of Takasuji's friends tries to explain that they were only trying to help their classmates who were being bullied by the gang. Goro refuses to believe them until Yankami steps in, convincing him that her students are telling the truth. Despite her efforts, Goro still blames Takasuji and his friends and even suggests that Yankami should quit teaching if the students cause more trouble. Yankami, however, refuses to back down. She fiercely defends her students, ready to protect them even if it costs her job. Takasuji and his friends are amazed by her loyalty and support. Back in the classroom, Takasuji can't stop thinking about Goro's warning to Yankami. He doesn't want to put his friends in danger or feel like he owes Yankami anything. Determined, he decides to go to the Black Skull Gang's hideout by himself to settle the issue. When Yankami enters the classroom with Ryu to teach, she finds out that Takasuji went to face the gang alone. She scolds the class for letting their friend go into danger. Before rushing out to find him, Ryu reminds the students how important it is to stand by their friends and support each other. At the Black Skull Gang's hideout, Takasuji confronts the gang, telling them to leave his school alone and deal with him directly. Seeing that he's alone, the gang members attack him. Just then, a loud explosion shakes the place, breaking down part of the wall. Yankami bursts in, demanding that the gang let Takasuji go. She fights the gang fearlessly, using her martial arts skills to disarm and take down several members with swift kicks and punches. Ryu steps in, taking down others and protecting Takasuji. The gang members, overwhelmed by Yankami's strength and Ryu's determination, eventually retreat, leaving Takasuji safe. Soon after, Takasuji's friends arrive and find him badly hurt. As Yankami prepares to leave, she bids everyone farewell. The next morning, Yankami is happily surprised when a student from class 3D greets her kindly in the schoolyard. This small act of kindness lifts her spirits, making her feel appreciated. She begins to daydream, imagining what it would be like if all her students in class 3D were well-behaved and always listened to her. Her daydream is suddenly interrupted by Takasuji, who reminds her that she's about to miss an important meeting. Yankami snaps out of her thoughts and rushes off to the teacher's lounge. During the teacher's meeting, 2 police officers arrive with unsettling news. They report that Kazama Run, a former student of Akado High School, is involved in illegal drug activities. At first, the teachers are doubtful, but the officers explain that Rin was caught during a raid at a place suspected of being a drug storage facility. Hearing this, Yankami, who was Rin's homeroom teacher, feels a strong urge to uncover the truth. Even though the news is shocking, she believes there's more to the story and is determined to find out why Rin got involved. Later, Yankami heads into the city to search for Rin. While looking around, she bumps into some of her former students who were friends with Rin. They agree to help her find him since he has disappeared. They split up, searching every place in the city where Rin usually hangs out, hoping to find him. That evening, as Ryu is heading home, he passes by Class 3D and hears strange noises coming from inside. Curious, he goes in to check and finds Rin sleeping in the classroom. Ryu wakes him up and persuades him to talk to Yankami about what's going on. Not long after, Yankami and Rin's friends, who are also searching for him, arrive at the classroom after learning about his whereabouts. Yankami feels relieved to see Rin safe, but Rin is upset. He explains that he didn't want to burden her with his problems because he feels like he always let her down when he was her student. Yankami comforts him, assuring him that they're all there to support him, no matter what. Hearing this, Rin opens up and admits that he was tricked. Someone offered him a high-paying job to deliver packages, and he accepted the work to help support his younger sister. But when Rin tried to quit, the person threatened and hurt him, forcing him to keep working for them. Yankami advises Rin and the others to be careful and stay away from any criminal activities. To protect Rin, Yankami invites him and his friends to stay at her house for the time being, without revealing her Yakuza ties. Later, as Yankami is saying goodbye to Ryu, members of the Ito family approach her with troubling news. Kintaro, the politician she admired, is actually behind Rin's involvement in the drug business. Furious, Yankami decides to confront Kintaro. Rin, overhearing the conversation, insists on coming along. They make a plan to confront Kintaro at his office the next day, where he is scheduled to give a campaign speech. The next morning, Yankami finds out about Ren's plan to confront Kentaro and becomes worried. She quickly tries to stop him by contacting Ogata Yamato, who is with Ren, fearing for their safety. However, Yamato ignores her warnings and continues watching Kentaro from a distance. Feeling panicked, Yankami decides to follow them, but just as she's about to leave, Ryu arrives on his motorcycle, ready to take her to Kentaro's office. At Kentaro's office building, the atmosphere is lively and chaotic as preparations are underway for a live campaign event that will be broadcast on national television. To gain entry, Yankami and Ryu disguise themselves as supporters. While searching for Ren and Yamato, Yankami is surprised to bump into Tsuchiya Hikaru, one of her former students, now working as an assistant to a cameraman. After a quick reunion, Yankami and Ryu resume their mission, unaware that they've been caught on camera by journalists covering Kentaro's event. Back at Akato High School, their co-workers are shocked to see them on live TV. Eventually, Yankami and Ryu reach Kentaro's illegal drug storage warehouse. Inside, they find Yamato and the others inspecting the boxes that Ren used to handle. Ren angrily smashes a statue, revealing hidden drugs inside. Suddenly, Kentaro's henchmen discover them and point their weapons at the group. But before they can act, Yankami sneaks up from behind and takes down the henchmen, saving Ren and the others just in time. While Kentaro's campaign continues to air on national television, Yankami's anger grows. Determined not to let him get away with his crimes, she decides to confront him alone. She leaves Ryu to watch over Ren and the others and heads back to the event. In a dramatic move, Yankami storms onto the stage in the middle of Kentaro's speech, shocking both him and the audience. The audience gasps in disbelief, some murmuring in confusion, while others take out their phones to record the unexpected scene. Without hesitation, she exposes Kentaro as the mastermind behind the illegal drug ring, creating chaos among the crowd. The big screen above the stage flashes with images revealing the location of Kentaro's drug stash, leaving everyone in shock. As people scramble to leave the event, Kentaro, desperate, orders his henchmen to capture Yankami. Even though she's outnumbered, Ryu steps in to help, taking hits from Kentaro's men to protect her. Soon after, Yankami's former students arrive to assist, but she tells them to stay back, not wanting them to get hurt. Gathering her strength, Yankami fights off Kentaro's henchmen one by one until only Kentaro remains, cornered and pointing a gun at her. Outside the building, Takasuji, another student from Class 3D, tries to rush in to help. Meanwhile, inside, Yankami tries to persuade Kentaro to stop his criminal activities. Her words seem to reach him, and for a moment, Kentaro and Yankami's students are moved by her compassion. Just then, fully armed police officers arrive at the scene. Fearing for Kentaro's life, Yankami tries to convince the police not to shoot him. Eventually, Kentaro is arrested. As he is led away, he tells all of Yankami's students that they are fortunate to have a teacher like her. With tears streaming down her face, Yankami thanks her students for always standing by her side, feeling deeply grateful for their support. One day, while on her way to school, Yankami runs into some of her former students who are now successful in their careers. Seeing how well they're doing makes her feel proud. When she arrives at the teacher's room, she bows to Vice Principal Goro, apologizing for the trouble caused by exposing Kentaro's illegal activities. To her surprise, Goro responds with pride. He tells her that her actions have made Akato High School more popular and respected, which has attracted more attention to the school. A few days later, near the end of the movie, it's Ryu's final day of his teaching internship. Goro gives him a special assignment, and Ryu accepts it with determination, eager to complete his task. After classes end that day, Yankami decides to take her Class 3D students outside to play kick the can on the field. At first, many of them aren't interested in playing, but when Takasuji agrees to join, the rest of the class follows his lead, heading to the field to play together as a group. This simple game becomes a moment of unity as the students bond and enjoy their time with Yankami. So the moral of the story is, if you're a math teacher with secret Yakuza ties, always carry some martial arts skills in your back pocket. You never know when you'll need to fight crime or win over a classroom full of delinquents.